What's going on, guys? Adam again, back with the Tommy Garage, and today, guys, we are working on the old BMW there. I haven't been driving it for the past couple days, and that's a problem, guys, because the slave cylinder for the clutch actually went out, and it's been raining and the weather has been horrible, and I have not been able to actually do anything about it. But I've got the parts, I've got the brake fluid, and now today we're going to replace that coming up in this video.
Chooky beat.
So guys, the clutch is no good. Well, it's there, but it's not really there. So this is the floor, this is the pedal, and I've probably got this much of actual engagement and disengagement. That's not a lot at all, and it's going to cause the car grinding gears and stuff like that. And I really haven't put any miles on it since it's been painted and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is pop the hood, jack it up, get jack stands and stuff like that, and then we're going to start rock and rolling to fix this. Also, I might need to come out this hoodie. It's kind of actually warm outside. It's 30 degrees one day and then it's 75 the next day. I don't know how to judge the weather now. But anyway, let's get started. Alright, so got jack stands under both sides of the car. So now we're going to slide up under there, see what this slave cylinder looks like, and see about pulling it out. So we are under the car, and there it is right there. There is the slave cylinder. Not the best lighting down here, but there it is. And it's got two 13mm bolts, one on the bottom right there and the other on the top. And then I just have to disconnect that line, which goes further up there, which that seems to be fine. Snatch the old one out, put the new one in, move on from there. So, seems simple enough. Let's see what we can make happen. So I got this bottom bolt out, and now we're going to pull this clutch line off. And there you have it. There it is, and it's nastiness. I think that seal is probably finally, blown or bust open and stuff like that. When I was feathering the clutch like probably a little too heavy, when I was trying to paint the car and basically get the car into position. And this is the aftermath. But this car is a 1995, which would make this car very, very old. So luckily I have a replacement. I think I only spent like 18 bucks on it. So now I am going to put the new one on and then switch out the line real quick, so that way I don't have too terribly much to bleed out of it. And really, I think I'm just gonna gravity bleed it, and I don't feel like doing anything else. So let's keep on going. All right, guys, so I have already fully installed the clutch slave cylinder into the car, but unfortunately, since I went aftermarket, and this is kind of a no-name aftermarket brand, the bleeder valve is not actually an 8mm. It's probably like a 7 or something like that, which means I need to go back under there. But in the meantime, what I need to do is go ahead and use some of my brake fluid and top off the fluid, and I'm gonna let it gravity bleed on out. Once it gets to a steady stream of brake fluid, good Lord, brake fluid coming out, then we can go ahead and close it off, and then we can check the clutch itself. So without further ado, let's keep rolling. Bottoms up. Now, before I go to the bottom of the car and go ahead and crack that bleeder valve loose, there's two things that I do want to mention about brake fluid. Now, of course, we all know that we need brake fluid. One, all brake fluid is not made the same. Eventually, I will get to a point that I will completely get rid of all of this brake fluid and put some fresh brake fluid in it. But in the meantime, we're gonna run this cheapo Prestone stuff. Not bad, but things that you need to know. With brake fluid, it is very porous, meaning that it is attracted to moisture. It draws in moisture. So if you're a cheapie like me and you hold on to a lot of stuff, you might have cracked one open a while back and just used a little bit. Even if you put the top on tight, it's better to be safe than sorry and to actually throw it out and get rid of it, because after a certain amount of time, even with the lid on, it attracts moisture, which weakens the boiling point of it, which weakens the everything about it. All of the properties become worse when water is added into brake fluid. So obviously you want to go without that, and you don't want any old brake fluid as well. The next thing is when you are filling up your brake fluid. Now, I filled up quite a bit, and I'm going to have to keep filling it up while gravity bleeds out. Just air, natural air pushes down on it and it pours out the bottom. But you want to be careful. If brake fluid is low and there's no leaks in your brake system, something that you need to know is then you may have brake pads that need to be replaced. The lower your brake pads go, the more brake fluid is required to put an adequate push on your pads. So as your brakes decrease, there's more fluid. The fluid from the reservoir also goes down. So the people that sees, oh no, I don't have any brake fluid, and then they take this and they pour all of it inside of there, you're making your life worse. You're actually increasing the force that your brakes are doing onto your rotors, which digs those pads that's already no good further into those rotors. And a lot of times that's how you get rotors that have this excessive lip, because all they kept doing was keep adding brake fluid, and they got down to no brake pads, and some brake pads don't even have the little noise makers, so they just keep pouring and pouring and pouring until there's nothing there. I've seen several cases of it, so that's something to think of. But anyway, let's get back to work. So for some reason, guys, I'm on the ground because it doesn't want to bleed out right. I don't know. It doesn't want to bleed out right. Doesn't want to bleed the gravity right. If I have someone in the car to bleed it out, still doesn't want to do right. So I'm going to go up under there. I'm going to pull it off again, and I'm going to myself bleed it out straight from under the car directly at the source to see if that does anything. Don't know if it does, but at the very least, it's worth a try. So see what happens. All right, so let's go ahead and get in. All right, guys, so we have just bled the entire system again by hand, and I think I got it bled out completely. I have not tried it, and I hope it's working. Okay, it's working. I already know. Woo! So one of two things happened. One, I was doing a absolutely terrible job of actually bleeding the system out, which that could very well be it. But what I think also is that the shaft on the slave cylinder has a little bit of play either way, or up or down, and I think I wasn't right up against where it needed to be seated against. And I think by me bleeding it the second time, one, took out any remaining air that was in it, and two, it lined it up perfectly. And once it was lined up perfectly, then I had to really ratchet on those nuts to bring the cylinder in and close that gap. So I think that's what it was. And all this time I was trying to bleed it, I wasn't bleeding much of anything. So that's what I think it is. Anyway, oh yeah, we got great clutch pedal feel right now. So now we're gonna drop this car off of the lift and everything. Lift, that's funny. If only I did have a lift. Drop this car off of the jack stands and the jack and everything like that. Clean everything up, and we're gonna take this car for a test drive. And you know what? See how she feels, man. Like I'm ready to drive old girl again. All right, it is time to drive it. I'm ready. I'm ready to drive my car. First fire up. Okay. Maybe not as smooth as I want it to be, but it's there. Still got that little knock. I'm starting to wonder if that shock is blown. I don't know. Well, guys, this concludes the video for the BMW. Man, it runs really good. I'm actually on my phone right now. Didn't take my camera with me, but for the most part, everything seems to run good. Now, it could idle a tad bit better, and I know that's because of those knock sensors. I need to take care of that. But for the most part, man, the clutch is great. It's perfect in it. And man, I really need to go over this car, give it a nice detail for now, because I can't really paint this car again. And I want to see about getting this car repainted either by myself or taking it somewhere and get it done over again. That's for another video, but look at that. Look at that thing. Oh, I just love it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.